coming out of my corporate job, I realized how burnt out I actually was. It just,
Mm.
it didn't click until I could look back and be like, oh gosh. And, sometimes it does take something like this. It's something huge to put you in a different state that you can look back and see that. And one of the
Mhm.
things when I created this business and started this is I didn't want to have this all encompassing and become my life. I didn't want to work 80 hours a week at it. I'm fine with working extra here and there, but I have too many other interests that I want to have and I want to do. So for me, I was always very careful about what those limits are. And if I'm going to take on a big project, do I have the bandwidth for that and not let it take over my life?
Welcome to the Uplift Her Leadership Series, a segment on the Self Care Goddess podcast, a special space where holistic self care meets high performance and the feminine leads with grace, power, and purpose. This podcast is your pause in a productivity driven world, a space to reset, regulate, and reconnect with feminine wisdom and visionary leadership. I'm your host, Rita Savoya, holistic nutritionist, trauma informed breathwork coach, and founder of Breathwork Barista. Each week, you'll hear soul expanding stories and thought provoking conversations with women leaders, founders, and change makers who are redefining success and what it means to lead with heart. These are the conversations we need to create the future we desire, rooted in self-care, integrity, and soul-aligned leadership. Breathe in your power, breathe out the overwhelm, and let's begin. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self Care Goddess podcast with today's special guest from our Uplift Her Leadership Series. But before we start, as you know, on this podcast, we're going to walk the talk. So I invite us all to take just a few minutes and go within by following our breath. So if you want to lower your gaze or even close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to just follow the breath flowing in through the nose and out of the nose. If you're feeling congested, then you're okay to breathe in and out through the mouth or in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just really deepening those breaths. So extending those inhales, maybe to 4, 5, or 6 counts in. And then exhaling and extending those exhales in and around the same amount of counts. If counting makes you a little anxious, that's okay. No need to count. All you need to do is just allow the exhales to soften any area of your body that you may be feeling some tension, some stiffness, some discomfort. Allowing those extended exhales to soften and relax those areas. Feeling the expansion of the inhales and then the contraction of the exhales. In through the nose and then out through the nose. And now I invite you to channel the inhales and the exhales in the area of the heart. Where attention goes, energy flows. So let's energize this beautiful organ that's keeping you alive. Feeling gratitude for this organ and everything else in your life. Inviting in that gratitude to expand to each and every single cell of your body. And in this moment, I invite you to visualize someone that you're grateful for today. Visualize this person as if they're right here in front of you. I invite you to acknowledge them, smile, and allow the gratitude from your heart to go to their heart. filling them with love, appreciation, and gratitude for everything that they do for you. And now I invite you to turn this love and gratitude and appreciation for yourself, for everything that you do for yourself. And slowly on your next inhale, just flutter your eyes open and come back to us. Thank you for participating in that quick coherence technique from the HeartMath Institute. Just a few moments to tune out the outer world and just tune in using your breath to help you anchor into the present moment. Thank you so much. So today on the Uplift Her, a special leadership segment of the Self-Care Goddess podcast, where high-performing women share their wisdom, lessons, and stories to inspire the next generation of leaders. So today's guest is bugged out in the best possible way. Meet Chelle Hartzer, the consulting entomologist behind 360 Pest Consulting, where she brings over a decade of experience helping companies to get to the bottom of their pest problems, because no one wants surprise guests with 6 legs and an antenna. With a BS from the University of Delaware and an MS from Kansas State University, both in entomology, of course, Chelle is also a board-certified entomologist specializing in urban and structural pests. Basically, if there's something creeping, crawling, or buzzing where it shouldn't be, Chelle is your go-to pro for taking it out. And yes, her life theme song is Queen, Another One Bites the Dust. How fitting. Absolutely.
How
I
can you
love
go
that.
wrong?
Exactly. But don't let the bug obsession fool you. Chelle's not on all science and SWAT. She's also a passionate home chef who loves experimenting in the kitchen, and her not so guilty pleasure, chocolate, always chocolate. Chelle, welcome to the show. We're buzzing with excitement to have you here. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you again. We've had a couple of conversations offline before recording this, and I had to add the humor, because I remember when you replied to my email and request to come on, I was like laughing out loud, and I told Chelle that if any of this, she gets tired of it, stand-up comedy is definitely her show. So I hope my introduction was aligned to how you live your life as well. So tell us a little bit more about your personal journey. What's influenced the mission that you're on? It's quite particular. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
It's funny. So I work with a lot of pest control professionals, and every time I meet with them or I ride along with them, my first question is, how did you get into this?
Right.
Because 90% of us, 95% of us got into this accidentally. This wasn't like our dream job at 5 years old. Like, yes, I'm going into pest control. In fact, when I got into entomology in college, I swore I would never work for a pest control company, and then went on to work for the largest pest control company in the US. So how did I get here? I don't know. It's one of those things that from one thing to the next, I kind of fell into it. I found so many interesting parts of it. I love the problem solving aspect of it. And here I am today, still doing it more than 10 years later.
Amazing. So why were you saying that you would never work for a pest control company when you were studying?
At the time, again, this was a while ago,
Hmm.
my impression of pest control was just that they sprayed a whole bunch of nasty chemicals, and that's all they did. Obviously, times have changed a little bit, and my impression of that industry was very wrong. There's a lot of things they do, and getting to that step where you do treatments is usually the last step, and it's usually very small, very targeted. And learning as I did throughout my professional career, it became something more and more interesting.
I see. Could you help us bust some myths? Because I'm like you, or I still do think so. So maybe you can
Mhm,
educate me here and tell me a little bit more in terms of, yes, they're very targeted when it
mhm,
happens. But mind you, though, when I live in Mexico and they fumigate the area,
mhm.
and I'm quite happy that I don't see any creepy crawlers anywhere too, right? So yes, educate us, bust some myths here on the show, and yeah, we'll take it from here.
oh, we could go for hours. I think one of the biggest myths is that, that pest control is somehow dangerous, or we're spraying a bunch of nasty chemicals, which, I mean, if you look at some of the chemicals, it can get a little scary because you're reading these sheets that say everything that it can do. And obviously, the purpose of it is we want to control these pests because pests are dangerous. We have mosquitoes and ticks that carry numbers of diseases, killing
Mm.
millions of people in the world. We have cockroaches that can carry foodborne pathogens and give you those foodborne diseases that are not fun to have. Termites who destroy your house. And so when
Mm.
people get to that stage and realize that this is something serious, professionals are so well trained and so well educated to do these things and to look at it as an entire system. I don't like the word holistic, but that's the best word for it. That we
I
look at
love
the
the word
whole
holistic,
system. I
Chelle.
don't know. I know. For some reason, it's just one of those weird words for me. But it is. We're looking at the entire system. Like, why is that insect there? Like, where is its food source? What is it doing? And how do we fix all those underlying conditions so that we either use a very small amount or sometimes none at all to deal with that pest problem? I think that's one of the most common myths is that people just go in and spray. And
Mm.
sure, there's probably some disreputable people out there that can do that. But for the most part, our industry is so professional and we want to help people because we know the risks of these pests being here. So we do want to help them, their families, their food supply, their pets, all of that. And, we're a fun but weird group of people.
I could see that. I could see that. Well, not weird. I mean, but fun for sure. Because as I
It's okay.
mentioned, so tell us a little bit more about if there was a challenging moment in your career in terms of when you had to pivot because it was a challenge. How did you do that? How did you approach that?
Oh gosh. Probably the most recent one. Like I said, I
Mm.
worked for one of the largest pest control companies in the United States. And at
Mhm.
the beginning of the pandemic in May of 2020, I was fired from my corporate job, which I mean, that was big. That was a big challenge. And from there, I did pivot. Instead of working for one of the larger companies, what I do now is working for many of the smaller pest control companies who don't have a full-time entomologist, a full-time
Mm.
person that can answer all this technical geeky stuff for them. And I work for some of the larger food companies, hospitality, healthcare, things like that, because when they have a problem, it's a very serious problem. We don't
Mm.
want cockroaches in our emergency room. We don't want bed
Mhm.
bugs in our hotels. So working with those groups of people to help them solve those problems for their customers.
Mm. So you're a problem solver.
I,
You're
I
like
love it. I love
a
I
little
love the
detective.
puzzle.
Yeah,
Yes. It's
exactly. Because
great.
you get to the root cause of
Mhm.
where are they coming from, what's happening. And so is there like sort of a common cause or is it different in the different industries?
It's a little different, but I think it can all pretty much go back to food. What
Hmm.
is that? What's your favorite food? What are they going after? And how do we try and
Mm.
eliminate that? And that's easier said than done. If we have a cockroach, sure, clean up your kitchen, make sure you got no crumbs, and you know, take out the refrigerator, clean behind it. But then you get to pests that feed on blood. And how do we deal with that food source? Because then it's us. And
Right.
we don't want to eliminate that. But
Hmm.
it goes back a lot to that food source and figuring out, can we stop that? And then the other thing is just keeping them out. Like you said, a lot of pest problems is those cockroaches outside. We just want to keep them out there
Yeah.
instead of letting them inside. So that aspect of food and that aspect of exclusion, keeping them where they're supposed to be, not in our house.
Right. By sealing your windows, your
Mhm.
doors, and any open
Yeah,
cracks that they can come
absolutely.
through. But I find that in Mexico, they're mostly in the washroom. I don't really see them in the kitchen. What's going on there? There's no food there.
Well, you'd be
Yeah.
surprised. All living
Hmm.
things need food, water, and shelter, right?
Ah, okay.
For a lot of our insects, that water requirement isn't necessarily, I'm thirsty and I need to drink some water. I need to be in a humid environment. And
Mm.
so what's in your washroom? All that moisture and that heat. They love that heat too. So when the wash machine's running, you have that little motor keeping everything warm, you have the
Oh,
dampness.
wow. Yeah.
And believe it or not, a lot of our cleaning products are soy based now, especially if you go for those all natural products. They're
Hmm.
soy based. Soy is a food. So I've seen cockroaches feeding on soap. I've seen them in the lint traps feeding on the little bit of lint that's left in there. It's
Right.
crazy what they can feed on and how they survive sometimes.
Yeah, they're surviving for sure.
Mhm.
And so which ones are the ones that feed off our blood?
Oh, so we've
Even
got
just talking about
mosquitoes,
it, I'm
we
just
got
like, ah.
mosquitoes, we
Oh,
got
right, right,
ticks,
right.
we got true bugs, we got a bunch of stuff. Bed bugs, bed bugs.
Right.
Hmm.
Yes. So how do you fix the bed bug situation?
Carefully. Again, we can't eliminate the food source. That's us.
Yeah.
So it is usually starts out with physical removal. We're going to go in with a vacuum and try and
Mm,
remove as many of those adults and the immatures and as much as we can. And then we've got different options for covering mattresses. So if there's a few
mhm,
left, they can't get out, they can't bite us. Looking
mm,
at the travel, I mean, most of bed bugs get hitchhiked around. It's because somebody stayed in a hotel or somebody
mm,
visited somebody in hospice or something and brings them back and forth. So knowing that and knowing that that person maybe does a lot of travel, we have ways to make sure that the suitcase stays in a very designated area and doesn't make it back to the bedroom with all of those little extra
mm.
friends. And
Right.
then, when we're ready, those targeted treatments that are going to hit just those right spots that we can knock those populations down.
Right, right. Yeah, sorry. This is so interesting. That's why I'm going back to like, okay, how do
No,
you
I
get
love
rid of
it.
this?
You're letting me totally geek out. I love it.
It's like, but we can't really fully 100% get rid of all of them, right? Because we travel and, of course, we keep our places clean and vacuum
Mhm.
whatever we can, but there are always going to be some crumbs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I guess it's just something that we need to live with and just
Mhm.
kind of in terms of prevention, what's the best sort of prevention strategy? That's where I'm sort of getting at.
Yeah, once again, trying to keep them on the outside if they're
Yeah.
one of those pests, that do well on the outside.
Hmm.
The other thing is of course food and just being conscious of it. A lot of people won't notice things, especially pest problems, because they're tiny and they don't notice them until it builds up. But just
Hmm.
being aware of it and keeping an eye out, saying, "Oh, I saw an ant yesterday and I saw
Mm.
two ants today, and maybe I should investigate that a little bit more." So kind of
Hmm.
keeping an eye on where things are. Like you said, in Mexico, it stays fairly warm for most of the year, depending on what region you're in. So you're going to have pest problems all year versus where you are in Toronto, that maybe it's just going to be, the summer that we really have to keep an
Hmm.
eye out. And in the winter, we can kind of let things die down a little. But that observation piece is really helpful, especially if you are going to call a professional so that you can point them in exactly the right directions and say, I saw it there and I saw it there.
Hmm.
And that's really helpful to solve that problem faster. So from that prevention standpoint, absolutely, make sure things are relatively clean. Can't ever eliminate everything. Make sure everything that can be sealed is sealed. We're never going to seal everything. And just keep an eye on what's going on in your area.
I know that there's help and we can contact people like you and know.
Absolutely.
And so is there in terms of because I like the natural stuff.
Mhm.
Is it as powerful as the chemical stuff? Or, you're like, read out, as much as we can use the natural products, the chemical stuff works better. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Mhm. I think it's very situational. We have
Hmm.
how many different species of insects that can possibly be pests, and then we've got spiders and everything else. And where are they? Are they in a food area or a kitchen, or maybe they just snuck in the basement somewhere?
Mm,
So, kind of evaluating everything like that. There are some great all natural products out there that, especially from a prevention standpoint, will kind of create that little barrier to kind of keep stuff out. It's not perfect though, and those all natural products usually don't have the longevity that some of the other products have.
mm,
Now, with that too, we can look at some of the products that we have that are baits, and usually those aren't the all natural ones. But when you're
mm,
using bait for like cockroaches or ants, you're using such a small amount in exactly the areas that they might be. Like, we know they're in that cabinet, and so we can get it right there, right where they're living. And sometimes that little bit of bait is much better than, say, spraying an all natural product that won't get close enough and won't affect them enough. So it's
mm.
very situational, but there's a lot of options that we can
Yeah.
take.
Okay, that's great for sure. Okay, going back to the pivotal moment, and we might come back to this stuff as well. So what gave you sort of the push to say, all right, this is what I want to do? Because you were in corporate for how many years before you did this
A
consulting,
lot, more than
right?
10. I'd
Yeah.
stop at 10.
So that took a
It's,
lot of courage, Shell. So I want to
well,
congratulate you on that
yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
it was definitely a lot to do with the timing.
Hmm.
At that time, of course, at the beginning of the pandemic, nobody was hiring. So
Mm,
I knew that my options had to kind of shift a little
mm,
bit. I
mhm,
still wanted to stay in this general industry. And it was actually a colleague and a mentor of mine that says, you need to
mm.
start your own business. And he'll joke with you. Well, it's not a joke. He'll tell you that I hung up on him after that. What he doesn't tell you is that it was about an hour before that I had just been fired. So,
Oh, right, right, right.
so yeah, there were some emotions and there was
Of
some trauma
course.
going on.
Hmm.
But he circled back around to it. He wouldn't let me go on it. And he said, you know what, I have some work. I'm not going to give you that work and I'm not going to pay you for it unless you start your own company. So right then and there, I was like,
Amazing.
cool, guess what we're doing?
Yeah. So you had
And
him. Okay, that's
yeah,
awesome.
and I
Yeah.
kind of figured, like, what's the worst that can happen? Like right now,
Hmm.
I'm out of work. So what's
Hmm.
the worst that can happen?
Hmm.
I get a business license for $50 and it fails. Okay, I gave it a shot. I tried something new, and here we are, almost 5 years later, and I'm still giving it a shot.
Are you enjoying it?
I am. Working for those bigger companies
Hmm.
is really cool and has a lot of benefits and advantages to it. They're very, well established. They have teams of entomologists and training people. And working for the smaller companies, it's just kind of a different vibe. They're much more mobile. They can respond a little bit better. They're still growing, so they want
Mm-hmm.
to have options and different ways of doing things. So just two different sides of the coin that both were great, but I really do enjoy working for all the smaller companies and having it spread out across the US and the world to kind of see what's going on in every different area.
I know for sure. So, what would be a piece of advice from your experience, entrepreneurial experience, that you would give someone that's listening today and be like, okay, similar situation or not, maybe they're thinking about entrepreneurship. What would be that sort of first, step that you would advise them to take in order to see if entrepreneurship is for them or not?
Yeah, so I'm of course a science geek. That's my entire background has been science. And so of course what do I do the first time I get into it is okay, let's do the research.
Mm,
If I'm going to do this, what's the demand for it? Who else is doing it? And is there a gap there? Is there somewhere I could fit into that niche? Is it overwhelming that tons of people are doing it? How many companies are there out there that I could potentially work with? What are the ratio of smaller, mid-sized companies that would need somebody like it? So I just did a deep dive into the research and found out that one, not many people were doing what I was doing, at least
mm,
not full time from a standpoint of keeping up with everything and the science and all that and helping my clients that way.
mm,
And two, those smaller mid-sized companies, they had Google. There was no like in between. Either you're too small to need somebody and you Google everything or phone a friend or whatever lifeline you want to use, or you're a bigger company that has those entomologists on staff. And so to create that package to give them all those same resources, all those same benefits, just on that scale that they need them, that wasn't there. And so got to design that for myself, and it's kind of adjusted over the years of what people need. But that was what it was for me is just doing that deep dive and getting that research and getting my factual brain wrapped around the facts that were out there. So that worked really well for me.
And so, did you have any fears or doubts, or the research, sort of the science and the research kind of drove that and, made you go forward?
Oh no, there's still a lot of fear and doubt. It is scary. Like I said, I'd been fired, so what's the worst that can happen? But I definitely knew my limitations. I am a science geek, so I had no business background.
Mm,
I can do a spreadsheet and all that, but some of the intricacies of marketing and sales and growing the business from that business side of it versus just the science and technical side, that was a struggle for me. And so once again, what did I do? I dived in and tried to learn as much as I could and talk to as many people as I could to
Mhm.
kind of make up for what I've got there. But it is still a learning experience. I'm still
Mhm.
learning and growing both on that business side and continuing to grow on the technical side.
For sure, for sure. So what would you say was the number one? Okay, definitely the research and that you did your numbers and obviously they look lucrative. So yes, embark on this. And you didn't have sort of anything to lose because you didn't your situation. So what was sort of pivotal that you would recommend somebody have? You had a great mentor as well that supported
Mm-hmm.
you. Anything else? Like, do you have to have, enough savings in the bank just in case? Was that a factor? Or you tell me sort of what was your
Oh gosh, so many factors.
okay, tell us.
Money is always an issue, and in one way, I was fortunate about that because I have a consulting company. So my startup costs are,
Hmm.
a laptop and maybe a flashlight. So I don't have a bunch of widgets that I need to stockpile and make and then
Right.
sell, which in one way is great because I don't have those startup costs. But in another way, I have to prove the value and the benefit of my service.
Hmm.
So that startup cost wasn't too much of an issue with me, but ongoing, it is the making sure I have enough clients, making sure I provide that value so I can get more clients and continue to grow my business. So I would say definitely if there is a mentor out there, if there's somebody a colleague, whatever, absolutely talk to them. Find somebody if you can that does something similar to you, and maybe that's the same field, or maybe that's just a business person that you can relate to, and talk to them about how they grew their business and how they started and what their challenges were, because everybody's going to have that different challenge and that different aspect of what they're gonna work on. But yeah, being the science geek that I am, I highly recommend research.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And just surrounding yourself with people, or even just asking,
Mm-hmm.
tapping into
Oh
those
gosh, yeah.
resources in your
Mm-hmm.
network. And yes, for sure, for sure. So is there um was there a burnout stage that, we talk a lot about burnout here,
Mm-hmm.
and also like in general, how it's becoming really, really an epidemic, a silent one. Was there any signs or warning signals of burnout, or if you experienced burnout during all of this, whether it was when you were in here in the corporate side or the entrepreneurial side? I'm
Mm-hmm.
just curious.
No, I think that's a great question because, yeah, you can experience burnout everywhere, right? And coming out of my corporate job, I realized how burnt out I actually was. It just
Mm,
it didn't click until I could look back and be like, oh gosh. And sometimes it does take something like this. It's something huge to put you in a
right.
different state that you can look back and see that. And one of the
Mhm.
things when I created this business, started this, is I didn't want to have this all encompassing and become my life. I didn't want to work 80 hours a week at it. I'm fine with working extra here and there, but I have too many other interests that I want to have and I want to do. So for me, I was always very careful about what those limits are. And if I'm going to take on a big project, do I have the bandwidth for that and not let it take over my life? So that was really important to me. And I've stuck pretty well with that, of making sure that on average it's, 40, 45-hour week, and, keeping that workload manageable so that I don't get that burnout and so that I can continue to, again, get more as I'm comfortable with it.
What were some of the warning signs of burnout that you had? I know you realized it after, but even in hindsight, was it physical? Was it emotional?
Oh, everything, absolutely. There were, of course, sleep issues. You start
Right.
getting really stressed out, your sleep suffers, and then, of course, you're more
Hmm.
stressed out because you didn't sleep, and so you don't
Yeah.
sleep more, and it's this vicious cycle back
Cycle.
and forth. And yeah, just looking back, it was some interpersonal stuff too, like how I communicated with friends and family and people inside the industry, outside the industry. I could see where the shift happened from the almost burnout stage to where I got to, which was just a much more comfortable place. And when you're comfortable intellectually and in your mind, that translates to so much else. I mean, I preaching to the choir here, I know, but that mind body
Exactly.
connection, it
Hmm.
absolutely is there. And so I think I also try to recognize it a little bit better. I think in a lot of cases, I was perfectly happy with pushing it under the rug and not acknowledging
Mm-hmm.
it and just
Mm-hmm.
moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And now I look for that a little bit more and say, okay, maybe I don't work a full day today and I make up
Mm-hmm.
for it tomorrow.
Right.
So really trying to make that connection and realize it so that I don't once again get built up to that stage.
Right. And that's amazing. That's amazing that you've reached that point and you didn't have to do it the hard way where it was completely burnt out and maybe had to go to the ER room, right? But
Yeah,
yes,
no, no, no.
right. Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, you're right. I mean, again, that connection is
Mm-hmm.
there and it's going to manifest in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love that you've set sort of this boundary of 40 to 45 hours a week. That's all I want to work. Because my next question is about work-life balance. And what are your thoughts of work-life balance? Is it doable? Is it, these are the joys of being an entrepreneur, is that today you can say, you
Mhm.
know what, I'm only going to work 6 hours or whatever, because then I'll make it up on the weekend, probably. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And how are you doing it? How are you able to balance?
I don't know. It's just I don't have a good answer for that. I think again, one thing just being a little bit more conscious of it. And I really enjoy the flexibility of working for myself. That corporate job was a 9 to 5. You had to be in the office at 8 a.m. You had to, keep looking at your emails until 10 p.m. And so knowing the stressors there and how that lengthened the day and I can keep stuff a little bit more contained. And I've honestly found ways to work a little bit smarter.
Mm,
I'm completely
right.
ADHD and I'm like squirrel and oh that's over here and I've got 18 tabs open on my computer and not looking at any of them. And so, to find ways that work for you that you can concentrate. I love Pomodoro. I'll set my timer for 30 minutes and just work on that. I will ignore my email. I will ignore phone calls. And so finding what works for you so that you get accomplished what you need to accomplish and you feel good about that, but you don't feel like you've wasted the day away either. So
Hmm.
that's kind of my thing.
Hmm.
I don't know if that answers the question very well, but it's
Well,
what I've
yeah,
got.
no, no, definitely. That's a beautiful technique that you shared with us, the Pomodoro technique,
Mm-hmm.
which actually in Italian means tomato. And it's one
Yes.
of those, old school
Mm-hmm.
tomato timers that you would, I guess you
Mm-hmm.
would use for cooking or baking. And so it is a very powerful time management
Mm-hmm.
technique, as well as productivity as well. So do you want to tell us a little more how you use it? Do you use it every day or do you kind
Oh,
of
sure.
project based?
Um, yeah, it just varies. Like, there's those days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do anything today, and just
Hmm.
getting kind of over that hump of starting something. Those are the days that I definitely use it, and I try and be as strict as possible. And then I find like halfway through the day, I'm ignoring it because I've now gotten into those projects and I've got that focus back. There's sometimes that I will use it, especially for if I'm working for any of my clients on an hourly basis, because that's real easy to say, okay, I'm going to work for half an hour, I'm going to work an hour, and I've got my billing straightened out.
Yes.
That's
Hmm.
perfect for me. And I think depending again on what your technique is, you can set that timer for whatever you want. For me, 25 to 30 minutes works for some of my
Hmm.
smaller projects. If I really want to try and focus and I feel I have that focus, I'll do it for 60 minutes.
Hmm.
There's great flexibility in it to match what your needs are.
It is very powerful. I love it as well. But just respecting that you can't open anything or have anything, no notifications on because that,
It's
you
hard
know,
sometimes.
so hard, especially if you hear the little ding. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
made,
Turn those announcements off. Just turn them off.
yes, all of them in order to actually be very productive with this technique.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yes. So in terms of, um, how do you balance your sort of energy, stay grounded? I mean, you seem very energetic. What sort of things do you do for yourself? What are your self-care secrets?
I'm very much an outdoorsy person. I like being outdoors. I like hiking. And my house has this beautiful backyard that's not even a yard, it's just trees. We have forest in the back. So even
Wow.
just sitting out on my back deck
Mm.
for a while, sometimes bringing my workout with me, reading a couple articles or bringing my computer with me, whatever it is. So
Mhm.
I do like that outdoor time. I try and walk every morning for at least 2 to 3 miles, again, to kind of get that outdoor time, to kind of get my
Mhm.
body going and awake. And I like yoga. I do quite a bit of yoga. I mean, maybe it's 10 minutes here, maybe it's an hour there, but I try and fit that in my schedule too, because I know it just makes me feel better.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's getting to that point where you actually get started, but once you do, that
that's so true.
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, you never regret it. You never
Hmm.
regret getting on your mat, but it's getting on it that is just like, oh,
It's that first
even
step. It's
I
that.
know. Even when you're first doing the child's pose and sort of grounding
Hmm.
yourself, you're still kind of, oh, should I get out? Maybe today's not the day. But then once you start, you're like, oh, why
Yeah.
don't I do this all
Mhm.
the time?
And I like cooking too. To me, cooking is that kind of magical
Hmm.
thing of you put a whole bunch of stuff together and then something new and hopefully delicious comes out of it. It's for me, that's a little bit of stress relief to stop
Hmm.
my brain from all of this and go to something different. I can let it run in the background while I'm trying to do something different. And that separation can really help me.
Hmm. 100% for sure. What do you like to cook? What sort of cuisine?
Everything.
Hmm.
Everything. Oh gosh, it just depends on what mood I'm in. The other night I made a great Thai curry dish.
Hmm.
I love Mexican food.
Hmm.
I like food. I like baking. I like food. I like it all.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting. People are like, "Oh, you cook?" I'm like, "Well, I love to eat." So yeah,
Mhm,
I gotta learn. I learned how to cook very very quickly. Well, also just watching my mom
mhm,
and kind of replicating what she was doing and moving out as well helped
mhm.
me to really experiment with my cooking. But honestly, Shell, I know we talked about ADD and stuff. I cannot follow recipes. I just can't. It's so bizarre. It says, oh yeah, 1 cup. I'll put on 1.5 cups. Oh yeah, this, and then I'll sprinkle other herbs and stuff. And sometimes it turns out really well, and sometimes like, I should have stuck to the recipe.
I have this joke of, okay, next time I do this, I need to remember how I screwed it up this time. So I do the same screw up next time because this was, so I
Right?
completely understand that. I'm like, I love raisins. Let's put more raisins in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Why
But it's
not?
such a science too, cooking, I
Mhm.
swear, right? In terms of the
It
ingredients
can
that you
be.
put, right?
Yep.
And but I'm the same way. I never make something twice that tastes the same because I didn't follow the recipe. So yes, I
Hmm.
need to remember where did I switch it? And yeah, that doesn't happen a lot.
Yep.
That's awesome. So if and interesting that you talked about nature and walking in nature. A lot of my podcast guests, it's interesting that I asked a question about their self-care routine, and oof, like 90% of them will say walking in nature,
Hmm.
some sort of doing something outside if you can all year long is so
Yeah.
important because we have been disconnected from the outside world because we're always living inside. And
Hmm.
it's interesting sometimes, like we go for walks and we're like, where is everybody? Like it's so sad, and they're probably
Oh,
inside watching their Netflix series, which is okay. But yeah, I mean, the weather's turning out to be so beautiful here. Just get
mm.
outside, enjoy
Yep.
that vitamin D. So I'm glad you said that as well. So if you had the perfect day with no responsibilities, Shell, what would that look like for you?
Oh, it started out with a great pot of tea. I'm a tea snob, so I love good tea and that first pot of tea where you're making it, it's almost kind of that ritual, that wake up ritual of okay, still half asleep, but still doing it. And that first cup of tea is it smells so nice and warm. And if I had nothing else to do, I would read my book for a while. I love reading. I love fiction because again, it's kind of that escape from the what
Mm,
else I've been doing, and it just kind of shuts your brain off for a little while from that. And I'm a geek about zoos and museums. So wherever
hmm.
I am, especially as I travel, I try and hit up a museum or a zoo or, anything like that for just, kind of new information, something different, something that I can learn. And oh, let's see, I'd probably have a really great lunch because I guess my world
All
revolves
of
around
this, and
food,
we're only
obviously.
we're only at lunch. Wow,
We're
that's
only at lunch. And yeah, if I could, I live just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And so we have the North Georgia mountains, about an
Mhm,
hour and a half north of us, which is just
mhm,
magical. You go up there, you do a short hike,
mhm.
just get that good mountain air going. yeah, and then something great for dinner, and of course, chocolate for dessert.
That's awesome. Do you also, you're the second guest that actually said chocolate is her
Yes.
guilty pleasure, but she did say that she has standards, so no white chocolate. Are you the same?
I'm a preference for dark chocolate. I really do like dark chocolate, but
Mm.
you put anything in front of me, I'm gonna eat it.
Amazing. So, this theme sort of came up as I was doing the pre-interviews that I had no idea, and that's the beauty of doing segments like these is not knowing what may sort of really become the theme of the podcast. But I feel like, speaking to high performing women, women that have achieved so much and had the courage to do so as well. There is this sort of a common theme, and I'm interested maybe in your industry as well, even when you were studying it and now in the consulting world too. It'd be interesting to see, do you find that there's more sort of, or you had to operate more in your masculine energy versus your feminine energy? And I know that we need to have both and be able to sort of tap into both. But what I find the sort of the theme is, no matter what industry we're talking about, is that yes, we as women had to sort of tap into the masculine more to get the job done or to be respected or to get those clients, which is what I experienced when I had my consulting company in Dubai. So yeah, I'm just interested, does that happen in your industry as well? Did you feel that or maybe not? So just something that I'm very curious about.
Yeah, well, sciences in general are a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more male dominated. Entomology specifically is much more male dominated,
Mm-hmm.
especially as you work up through the university systems and more advanced degrees, it becomes more and more male dominated. And I work in the pest control industry, which is very, very male dominated. So yes, I'm surrounded by all of this. And yeah, I definitely feel in a lot of cases that has to come out. It's the people that I work with, it's the nature of the business that I'm in. And but I think what's always helpful with that too is to realize that our industry is growing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great group called Women in Entomology for our National Entomology Society. We have women in pest control and professional women in pest management. And to see those organizations continue to grow and continue to pull in people is the balance of that. I think I can
Mm-hmm.
still be in this very male dominated world field of mine and yet still have that other piece of it. And I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. What would you say was the biggest struggle knowing that you're in a very male dominated industry that you had
Being
to?
taken seriously. I
Mm,
mean,
mhm,
you come in and
mhm,
we have some amazing people, professionals in our industry who have been doing this 20, 30 years, even sometimes. And
mhm,
here's little old me that comes in and wants to tell you to do something different.
mhm,
And so there's a lot of that pushback. And again, because I am female, I'm not taken quite as seriously. I'm doubted more. I'm pressed more, which I kind of lean into. I'm like, cool, you want to press me on this? All right, let's dig into it more. Let me tell you why.
mhm,
So I think there's benefits and drawbacks to that. At times
mhm,
it can be very frustrating. I want to be like, listen, I know this stuff. Come on.
mhm.
Stop with the trials.
Right,
And then
right.
other times I really do lean into it. I'm like, cool, let's dig into this more. I'll keep going with you.
So it's almost like a motivator for you to know your stuff
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
to research it more
Mhm.
deeply. So you feel like it's changing, it's shifting, or it's kind of still with these women organizations or associations?
I think we're always going to have a ways to go, which is great because that means we always have growth and can continue to have that growth. Again, we're a small group within the industry right now, but
Mm-hmm.
going back 10, 20 years, we were even smaller. So we do continue to build, we do continue to try and get the message out there that, yeah, it's weird that we work with bugs, but hey, bugs are really cool. And let me tell you about it. So bringing more and more people, and it's honestly one of the things that I'm most uncomfortable with. I don't like being on camera. I don't like being up on a stage in front of hundreds of people. It's very intimidating to me, and But I also know that if I don't do it, if I don't showcase this, then three other high school girls and four other junior high girls will never see that and never realize that that's an option. So,
Mm.
despite my discomfort in some of that, I do want to be forward with it so that other people realize that it is cool and we get more of us here.
Oh, that's so amazing. Well, thank you for doing that. Like we all know, public speaking or just being on stage could be very terrifying. I think it's more feared than death. It's the
Mm-hmm.
number one fear.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's innately in us because even though even ancestrally, if we ever spoke out of our tribe, we would be exiled, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
sort of our nervous system trying to protect us. No, don't do that.
Yeah. And
Be
you're always
brave.
worried about somebody, questioning you or, like
Hmm.
saying that you were wrong or anything. And that was completely intimidating in graduate school because in graduate school, you do have a bunch of people who know 18 times as much as you do and have been there for a million years. And yes, they are kind of judging you. To
Hmm.
kind of make that shift too into a little bit something more different where I'm a trainer and I'm standing up in front of people and I have to remember, no, you really do know as much, if not a little bit more than these people. That's why you're here. That's why you're here to teach. But yeah, sometimes I'm sitting there in the corner really nervous before I get up there and like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And I think it's like everything. I mean, we don't do yoga because we're perfect at yoga. We do yoga to
Hmm.
get better and to reap the benefits of it. Public speaking is the same thing. Practice it, go out there, do
Hmm.
it, and there's benefits to it.
Exactly. Actually, my guest yesterday was talking about Toastmasters.
Oh,
And
yes.
yeah, I'm not sure if you came across or ever wanted to sort of join, but she's inspired me to join. She's been doing it for 15 years. Yeah. And it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's built a whole community around it, and it's just super great to really get yourself just prepared. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about experience. Yes, even me, I when I get on stage, I still get frightened and I actually
Yeah.
yawn. I have this weird side.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
okay.
It's yawning. That's how that it shows how my nervousness when I
Mhm.
yawn. So it's so interesting. I'm up there and I'm yawning, and people are like, "Oh, she didn't sleep well. Like, is she that nervous? She didn't couldn't sleep." And I'm like, "No, it's actually just something that I do super weird when I'm anxious about before
Yeah.
getting on stage. But if I don't have that, that anxious feeling or those butterflies, I feel like I don't care enough. So for me, and I've sort of reframed
Hmm.
that. Okay, you care. That's why you're feeling
Yeah.
this, you
I
know?
like
So
it.
calm down. And, like you said, you do that affirmation. I can do this. I can do
Mm-hmm.
this. But it's getting, you're doing it for someone else, which is amazing because, yes,
Yeah.
like you said, there would be women or girls out there not knowing that, hey, this could be a possible career path for you because
Yeah.
not a lot of people are talking about it, right? So,
But like I said, about 95% of us got into this completely accidentally. So
but
I'll take it and I'll take more.
exactly, you seem happy, fulfilled,
Mhm.
right? Like you're,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, for me, it's the puzzle. It's trying to, and usually I
Mm-hmm.
don't get the easy ones. I mean, by the time you're talking to me, that problem is already it's there. You're calling me
Mm-hmm.
because you need help. So we're already past like level A, B, and C. And now we're
Mm.
like, okay, well, what if we get a little creative and this piece doesn't quite fit, but we can make it fit almost? And what if we do this over here and still putting that puzzle together a lot of times without all the pieces, but still making it work in the end?
Right, right. So from your experience, what's a piece of advice that you would give a high performing woman right now who's struggling to
Ah,
find that fulfillment?
wow.
Hmm.
Um, Great question. Next question, please. No.
Pass.
um, you know, again, from a geeky science person, I would start writing stuff down. Like, why
Mm,
exactly am I having this problem? What exactly is making me unhappy, or what's really stressing me out? What is that piece or those pieces? Because it's not everything. It's always going to be a couple things, two, three things that are really impacting that. And so to one, write it down, actually get it out of your head and physically in front of you. And then to go through and say, okay, well, if I'm super stressed because I'm working 80 hours a week, why am I working 80 hours a week? Do I still need to work 80 hours a week? And to start to just kind of dig down into that. I remember attending, I think it was a marketing or sales seminar, and they said, keep asking the question why. Ask the question why like five, six times. Like, okay, yeah, I'm not interested. Okay, great. can you tell me why you weren't interested? Well, I'm concerned about the money. Okay, why are you concerned about the money? And so to take that aspect of it and keep going with it in your own mind, in your own head, I think that's going to be something that's gets it out there and gets a little bit more tangible.
It's interesting. As you were saying that, I was like, oh, that's the 5 why technique, or I think it's a Lean
Yes,
Six
okay, thank you.
Sigma.
Yeah, I knew there was
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a Lean Six Sigma technique as well, because I've done
Okay.
my green belt and yellow. So yes, it's so important. And
Mhm.
I love it. I don't know why you wanted to pass this question. That's a great answer. That is amazing insights there, and writing it down, getting it out of here onto paper is
Mhm.
even just that transfer can really help
Mhm.
with the release, whatever emotional attachment is to that particular
Mhm.
issue that you're having for sure. And I love that. Is that what you did when you were?
I do it from time to time. Yeah,
Mm,
especially when I'm getting to that point where for whatever reason I'm feeling
mhm,
super stressed or something's just off and I'm just not where I want to be. Yeah, a
mhm,
lot of times it goes to just, and sometimes it's just, kind of almost journaling, like you just start writing stuff
mhm,
down, and that
mhm,
process again for me to get it out of what's going on all up here to put it there, and suddenly it looks a lot simpler and it looks less intimidating. And
mhm,
for me, again, just kind of seeing it, it's like, oh, okay, well, I could probably fix that.
mhm,
And everybody's different. Everybody's going to find a different thing. But if you're a little
mhm.
geeky and sciencey like me, that aspect of just putting it on paper and being able to
Yes,
see it is
right.
is helpful.
And again, get to sort of the root cause. And I would take
Mm-hmm.
this technique one step further, and this is what I advise my clients. And it's been one of the every time I showcase this technique, they're like, wow, it's so simple, but it's so great. And they're using it with their kids. It's just amazing. So take that, what you've written, and then say, all right, draw 3 circles. One, it's called the influence circle. So 3 circles of influence. And then sort of the on the left, what are the things you can control out of that situation?
Mm-hmm.
Then on the far right, what you draw another circle. What are the things you cannot control? Because there's so many things you cannot control, right? And then just
Yep.
put it in there. And then out of those things you cannot control, what you draw a third circle in the middle. What are the things that you can influence? So sort of moving some of those
Mm.
things from the cannot control to the influence, or not completely moving them. They're still there. You can't control them, but maybe perhaps you can influence them. And they're all sort of interlinked, these circles.
Yeah.
And then most of us, Chelle, we stress out, we have anxiety, we freak out because, and if you think about it, if you analyze, if you do what you just shared with us, we focus on the things that we cannot control. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're wasting time. You're wasting so much
Yeah.
energy. You're wasting all of this. Not wasting, but also like you're putting this stress on you that is so not even valid because you can't control that stuff. So let's move to the things you can control and then do another analysis there. Okay, what
Mm-hmm.
are some action steps that I can take based on this? And it's great. You could do it with kids as well. It's such a simple tool. You can use it with kids as well. And of course, career
Yeah.
development. How do I, get out of this situation?
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a really powerful tool. So I would add that as
All
like
right.
do your 5 whys or
Yep.
journal, do the 5 whys, go 5 whys deep, and then from that start thinking of okay, in this situation, what are the things you cannot, and then can influence. Such a
Yeah.
beautiful, powerful tool. Sorry, I
Oh,
had to
it's
bring it
great.
in there and say
Yeah,
like yes.
please. I need all the help I can get. I'm never willing to turn away help. It's awesome.
Yes, that's really, really powerful too. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. So, what is your legacy? What do you hope to leave for the
Mm.
next generation of women leaders?
Yeah, my big hairy goals. I want to take what I have now and build it up into a large firm. I want to be able
Hmm.
to have so much business that I'm hiring more entomologists and more people that can go out and help this underserved community.
Hmm.
Because if my pest control company can do a better job with you, you have less risk of disease. You are a
Hmm.
happier person. Termites haven't consumed your house and you pay millions of dollars for a new one. So that aspect of helping this group that I have, I want to continue to build that and give that resource to every single person that needs it.
Hmm. Beautiful. So amazing, right? Like it's just there's this underlying
Mhm.
quest to really help people, right? And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, and you're right. You have to talk about it because you would never put like two and two
Hmm.
together, right? And I love that you are taking that opportunity to do that. And especially
Yep.
here as well. You never know who might hear
Hmm.
this. So here's some fun questions, although the other ones have been fun too. But if you could have lunch with any woman, past or present, who would it be and why?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because she was just such a cool person. I mean, not just professionally, but when you hear her talk and see some of her speeches that were a little bit more casual, she was just a fantastic person. So I'd love to delve into that a little bit more.
And would you cook or go out for
Ooh,
lunch?
I don't know. I'd be too intimidated. Be like, no, she's gonna hate my cooking. No, no, no. We'll order out for that one.
So, what is, since you read a lot, this might be a difficult question for you, but what's a book, a quote, or maybe a mantra that has profoundly impacted your life?
I hope this doesn't sound too depressing, but there's a Robert Heinlein book who's a science fiction author. And in one of his books, one of his characters says, I found out why people laugh. They laugh because it hurts and they don't want to cry.
Mm,
And
hmm,
it sounds kind of depressing, but at the same time, we have this other outlet. And when you think that you're at that point where you have nothing left but crying about, well, find a funny movie, to just break out of that and realize that if you are at that nothing else left but crying stage, okay, well, how do we throw some laughter into it? How do we throw some fun? How do we just switch that up a little bit? Because I like to have fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love that. I'm actually writing an affirmations book, Shell. And I'm like, so the affirmation is the affirmation that you usually hear. I am enough, but then I'm adding a humorous ending to it.
Yes.
And I thought,
Love it.
why not? Right? Just because I
Mhm.
feel like healing in the healing world is very serious and it's rarely fun. And it's, yes, okay, rightfully so. A lot of trauma, a lot of hurt and emotional sort of heaviness. But let's bring in the humor. So it's interesting you say
Mhm.
that. I do feel that yes, at the end of the day, we need to laugh at ourselves, not take life so
Yep.
seriously, not take ourselves so seriously because we don't even know if we're going to be here tomorrow, you know? So yeah, not to
Exactly.
be so, depressing, but at the end is yes, can you say that
Yeah.
you've lived a life where you had fun and enjoyed yourself too,
Yeah.
right? And you can have both. So I like that. That's cool. Okay, so if you could give your younger self and you can choose which younger self at what age, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Great question. Next question, please. No.
Well, you seem to answer these
I,
past
I
questions
know.
very well.
They're such hard questions. Um,
Whatever comes first. No judging.
you know, keep accepting the challenges.
Mm,
Keep accepting the opportunities as they come along. Like I said, I never in my life, to tell you the truth, it wasn't until I was going into my junior year of college that I even knew what entomology was. I was switching up my major and needed to find something else. And I'm like, this is not working. So what else? Okay, let's give this a shot. And, from there, got into grad school. I swore I'd never work for a pest control company, got into the industry. So I think there's a lot of times where in your life an opportunity flies by, and sometimes we take advantage of it, sometimes we don't. And for me, looking at my past, just keep taking advantage of some of those weird opportunities every once in a while.
mm, wow. That's amazing. See, I have every question you want to pass. I love that. Yes, taking advantage of those opportunities. And so there's a beautiful saying in Spanish that when a door closes, a window opens. So
Mm-hmm.
even sometimes some of those opportunities where you're like, oh, devastated, like what
Yeah,
you had, right? It's just no, take advantage of that opportunity of starting your own business and look where you are now. So
exactly. Yeah.
super
What's
great.
the worst that can happen?
I love that question.
You know,
Yeah.
what's going to happen if it all goes terribly wrong? Most times it's not so bad.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that. So, looking back at your journey so far, you've accomplished a lot, embarked on this entrepreneurial journey as well, and of course, you have a greater vision for it too. I'm curious if there's sort of any feelings of longing in any area of your life, and in terms of if there's anything that you're still longing for.
More travel. I really enjoy travel and I get to travel a lot for my job, but I want more of it. I love to travel. I love to see different areas, different people, different situations going on. Everywhere is a little different and every culture is a little different. Every people, it's
Mm.
just there's so much out there to learn and experience and eat good food. To bring it back to my chocolate. So yeah, I would love to travel more and more and more, even though I do a lot of it.
But more for pleasure versus business,
You
or
know, both, because I'm
combined.
I'm that weird person that my husband hates when we go on vacation. I'm like, oh look, there's a bait station, and he's like, oh God, do we have to do this again? So, it's kind of ingrained in there. I can't turn
Yes.
it off completely. But yeah,
Yeah.
it all. I mean, think of it. It all intersects. I mean, nature intersects with us. This part of nature.
hmm
It's all connected.
Where's something on your bucket list that you want to go to that you haven't been on to it yet?
Everywhere I haven't been yet. Um,
The first one on your
I
bucket list. If you had
Okay.
been to that.
Australia, New Zealand. That's
Oh,
one place
nice.
that's pretty high up there that I haven't gotten a chance to go
Mm.
to. So anyone out there in Australia, New Zealand, if you need a pest control person for a couple weeks, I will be there for you.
Oof, and they have some weird bugs, right? Like some very
Mm-hmm.
strange ones everywhere.
Oh
So
yeah.
I've been to New Zealand. I haven't been to Australia yet, but New Zealand. So I've been to 34 countries. And yeah,
Fantastic.
I know, Shell. I've been traveling since 18.
Oh.
And I blame my parents because they moved me when I was 8 from Italy to
Mm-hmm.
Canada. So I was like, that you put that bug. No pun
Your fault.
intended. Yes. But New Zealand is definitely a country. So I often say I wouldn't really go back to a country because there's so many other countries to visit and so many more beautiful places. But New Zealand, yeah, it's something
Mm.
somewhere I definitely go back to. Super special, just gorgeous, gorgeous, amazing people. And I went
Oh,
back in 2016 and they had like almond milk. They had like all these
wow.
other non-dairy beverages where I was like,
Yay.
ah, these guys are really into their health as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed by that. But there was one time where I actually forgot my phone in Christchurch at a coffee shop there. And I called and they were super nice. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like super nice. And who wouldn't be? You live in paradise. Like I'd feel, I'd be happy all the time as well. And I remember we called them. We're like, yeah, yes, we found the phone. Please come back. So we had to drive back. And because
Oh.
we sort of not wasted, but we needed to go back. We were traveling at night and we were supposed to be traveling at night. But can I tell you, Shell, like I looked up and the stars seemed so close.
Oh.
Exactly. It
Oh
was like
yeah.
a planetarium. When you go to those
Mm-hmm.
indoor planetariums, I was like, oh, this cannot be real. Like, pinch me right now. It was
Oh.
the most beautiful scene I have ever. Yeah, it's definitely in my
I'm
travels.
so jealous. So jealous.
Yeah, and so that's something if you're gonna go, make sure on your bucket
Okay.
list you're traveling at night somewhere where you can actually watch this because yeah, I mean it wasn't in any of the books that we were reading or like in terms of tour guides to watch the night sky. I was
Mhm.
like, what? This is beautiful, just gorgeous. So yes, highly recommend it. Get yourself there as soon as possible
Okay.
because it's just such a beautiful, beautiful place
Oh,
to visit. Well, thank you for that for sure. Okay, so these are some fun rapid fire questions
okay.
before we wrap up. And you can definitely pass if you don't feel comfortable. I'm kidding. I'll probably go back to it and ask you
Okay. Yeah.
again.
You will not pass. You will not pass go. You will not collect $200.
One word to describe you as a leader.
Fun.
Yeah, I could see that. Morning person or night owl?
Night.
Coffee, tea, or something else? I think we know the answer to this.
Tea. Tea. Big tea snob.
Mountains or oceans?
Oh, ocean's right next to a mountain.
Yeah, both.
I can't decide.
I know, it's so hard, right? Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Same. Favorite way to celebrate a win, big or small?
Beautiful glass of wine with a nice dinner.
Very nice. Favorite movie that you can watch over and over and over again?
Okay, The Princess Bride.
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
If you could master any skill instantly, just like that, what would it be?
Languages,
Which one?
all of them.
If you
You
had to
said
pick,
any skill, all of them. Yes.
if you had to pick one, or to start with one, which one?
Oh, probably Spanish.
Hmm, okay.
That's pretty common, at least in the U.S., as a second language. So yeah.
Yeah, that's doable. Very doable. How would you define success for yourself today?
Happiness. It. Don't get me wrong; it's part of money. I mean, we can't travel if we don't have money. We can't eat if we don't have money. So, I mean, money is part of that. But having that sense of happiness at the end of the day, at the end of a project, at the end of a time with a client.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. So, what is your one message to all high performing women out there? If you had to leave them with something, what would you say?
Take a break, even if it's a breath, one breath, every once in a while. Take a break.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you. And you're talking to a breathwork coach, so good that we did not
Correct
plan this.
answer.
We did, I know, right? We did not bonus 100%. We did not plan this, by the way.
Nope.
I'm not giving her anything on the side for saying that, but yes, thank you. That is very, very powerful. Is there anything that you want to wrap up this beautiful conversation with, Chelle?
Back to my favorite subject of entomology. There are so many species of insects and arthropods out there. Very few of them are pests. So go out there and look at some of the little things every once in a while.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, be curious. You
Hmm?
just never know, right?
And text and email me with all your pictures.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I knew it was going to be fun. I knew it was going to be light from the first conversation that we had, and you definitely brought in that fun and lightness to it, and
Right.
happiness too. So it really does show that you are, living the life that you want, and you're creating this beautiful company and working towards growth. So I just want to thank you for the insights and everything that you've shared today. And who knows, maybe you might have sparked some interest in a woman listening to this, or watching this podcast to sort of explore this industry. So thank you so much for
No,
taking the
thank you
time.
for having me. This was so much fun for me. You let me geek out and talk to people about my passion. So I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Take care. Bye
Bye,
bye.
folks.
Thank you for joining us on Uplift Her Leadership Series, a special segment of the Self Care Goddess podcast. If this conversation lit something up in you, please share it with a fellow changemaker, and let's keep building a new model of leadership together. Follow me on ritasavoya.com and stay connected for more conversations that blend well-being, wisdom, and bold feminine leadership. Until next time, breathe mindfully, live intentionally, thrive gracefully, and remember, self-care is your superpower. Ciao for now.